Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're piecing together a massive puzzle. We're looking at clues from all across history to figure out how civilizations get built, and maybe more importantly, why they always seem to crumble. We're going to look at the blueprints, the very source code of power itself. You know, the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau really hit on something fundamental here. He knew that a mob and a society are two totally different things. One's just an explosion, right? But the other is an engine. Okay, let's dive into what that really means. Just think about that for a second. A heap of ashes. It's what's left over. It's scattered, it's chaotic, there's no structure. But a machine, well, that's something else entirely. It's a complex system. It's an engine with all these interconnected parts, all designed to work together, to function, and, hopefully, to last. And that's really the heart of our explainer today. What's the source code of civilization? We're going to pull together clues from all over the place, from ancient Mesopotamia to modern America, to try and understand the basic operating principles of power. So let's start with the absolute basics. Ground zero. If you want to build any state, I don't care if it's a tiny chiefdom or a massive empire, you've got to have a way to see and measure your world. You have to make things legible. What's so amazing about this is how it just cuts right to the chase. Long before kings had crowns, long before anyone wrote a constitution, the most important job of the state was accounting. This quote from James C. Scott just lays it out. The first tools of the state weren't swords. They were ledgers. If you want to tax people, you have to count them first. To rule, you have to record. And this table just hammers the point home right across the millennia. It doesn't matter if we're talking about cuneiform tablets in Mesopotamia tracking sacks of grain, or the Roman census classifying people by their wealth for the army. The first blueprint for power was exactly the same, the ledger. It all begins by taking inventory. And this reveals a really brutal trade-off right at the foundation of the state. See, settled agriculture, it created these dense populations that you need for a state to even exist. But it came at a huge cost to people's health. It was like a perfect storm for epidemics and malnutrition. Okay, so you've counted your resources. You've got the people all in one place. That gives you physical control. But how do you get them to actually believe in the system? How do you make it legitimate in their eyes? Well, the answer is in the operating system, the system of belief that justifies power. It's the story a society tells itself about why some people get to rule and everyone else has to obey. And believe me, over time, that code has changed radically. And right here, you can see two completely different blueprints for legitimacy. On one side, you have power as a top-down gift from God. It's sacred, it's permanent. If you question it, you're asking for disaster. But on the other side, power flows up from the people. It's basically a temp job, right? A contract that can be changed or even canceled at any time. But here's the thing, systems don't just exist in a bubble. They compete, they grow, and they get totally transformed by powerful ideas and outside forces. They are always in motion. Darwin, he described a natural world that was in a constant state of competition and adaptation. When you really read what he's saying, he's describing a system under incredible pressure, a struggle for existence, where only the best adapted variations make it. And this wasn't just about biology. It was a totally revolutionary way of seeing the world as this dynamic, competitive system. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Karl Polanyi saw that this same Darwinian logic, this ruthless competition, was basically unleashed on human society with the free market. He argued that just like a new predator can totally reshape an ecosystem, the market itself could act like a force of nature, completely demolishing ancient social structures like the Indian village, which had been stable for centuries. So, what happens when you pull a key piece out of the system? What if you take a crucial variable completely out of the equation? Well, what we find is that even the most powerful, most stable structures can start to just collapse from the inside. The Roman historian Sallust made this absolutely stunning argument. He basically claimed that Rome's greatest victory, the complete and total destruction of its rival, Carthage, was the poison pill that started its own decay. The enemy that had kept them unified, the one that forced them to be virtuous. It was gone, and so they turned on each other. Now look at this, a totally different system, a completely different chain reaction, described by Rachel Carson in Silent Spring. A simple action, spraying a pesticide to save some trees, ends up unraveling an entire local ecosystem. They targeted the insects, sure, but they ended up poisoning the earthworms, which then poisoned the robins, basically wiping them out. The parallel here is it's striking. In both the Roman Republic and this little campus ecosystem, the system got deprived of a crucial balancing force, and it just started to destroy itself. The victory was hollow because, in the end, it broke the machine. So, all of this brings us right to the present. Are these patterns from history just interesting stories? Or are they actually playing out right now, in the source code of our own civilization? The historian Eric Hobsbawm noticed a huge shift in the late 20th century. People were just checking out. They started to disengage from the whole political system, treating it less like a shared responsibility and more like some kind of spectator sport run by a totally separate political class. And this chart, wow, it just puts hard numbers to his observation. You see a huge drop-off in voter participation. So the question becomes, what happens when a key component of a democratic machine, the active, engaged citizen, removes itself from the system? Does the whole thing just grind to a halt? Or does it just start serving a different master? The patterns are all there. They're written in history, in biology, in economics. These blueprints of power, of change, of decay, they're all around us. The real challenge for all of us is just learning how to read them. So, what do you see when you look at the machine today?